Leicester City secure promotion back to the Premier League this season after winning the Championship with 97 points. Since then, they've lost their manager to Chelsea and face potential points penalties because of financial mismanagement. Today we take control of Leicester City as they move back into the Premier League with a goal of recreating the 2016 season and winning yet another Premier League title. So guys, here we are in game, ready to go in season number 1 with Leicester City. We are of course using the real life database to pick things up at the end of the championship season. Leicester promoted as champions. There's no financial mismanagement penalties coming in this particular save, but I think they might be coming in real life. We also have Mr. Dewsbury Hall. He is still here, but we have had a little bit of transfer business going on. We haven't brought anyone in because of the financial stuff looming over the club, but we have made a couple of sells. Victor Christensen has gone to Bologna. He has departed. The left back has gone. Jakub Storolets is how I'm butchering this guy's name. Jakub has departed. He has gone to West Brom. So we've made £21 million in this window going into season number 1. We don't normally allow these databases and stuff like that to kind of have transfers in this first season, but obviously where we're doing things in real time, we are going to allow it to happen. And this was all set up before Dewsbury Hall departed for Chelsea. So if we quick pick without restriction our best 11 in this 4-2-3-1 that we are going to run today, I will leave a link to that down in the description. This is how the team is looking. Hermanson, Pereira, Faze, Vestergaard, James Justin coming in at left back, and Didi and Dewsbury Hall is really good to come back into the Premier League. Priya Mavadidi and Daka. Now I'm not 100% on McAteer in this particular instance. We have a couple players who we maybe could play. Inianacho could play there. This guy Apoku could maybe play there. The team isn't as good as it could be. Mavadidi's going to have a great season, as is Patson Daka. But obviously we're going to try and see what we can do with this team because I don't see Leicester City signing many players if they are going to have these potential penalties coming their way. Competitions-wise, going into this season, we have, of course, the EFL Cup, the Emirates FA Cup, and the Premier League. In this particular instance, because we cannot handle and account for the playoffs, Ipswich and Leicester Town go up. Obviously, the two teams that went up automatically. In this world, West Brom won the playoffs. So West Brom are in the league instead of Southampton. If we have a look at the season preview, we're not the worst team in the division. We've got Forest, West Brom and Ipswich Town predicted to finish below us. We are obviously 17th with odds of the title of 350 to 1. Season number 1, we just want to stay in the Premier League, have that foundation and have something that we can build off of. Let's simulate season 1 and see what we can do if we can stay in the Premier League. Our start to the season was fantastic as we really faced beatable teams to kick off our campaign, which actually kept that squad morale very high. We also saw ourselves progress through the EFL Cup with wins against Port Vale, Stoke and Luton Town. October really saw some crazy results as we managed to defeat Manchester City and Arsenal at home to go flying up the table. However, we couldn't be as lucky against Manchester City in the EFL Cup. We faced Pep's men at the Etihad in the quarter-final stages, and goals from Jeremy Doku, John Stones and Pepe saw our cup run come to an end. However, I still think this was a pretty good showing in this competition. We also made our way to the quarter-final stage of the FA Cup as well, with wins against Everton, Norwich and Stoke before facing Newcastle. The game took place at St James's Park and we got off to a terrible start by conceding inside the first 60 seconds to Callum Wilson. Wilson then doubled Newcastle's lead in the second half from the spot before Sean Longstaff completed the scoring in the 94th minute. But this season we had a great start to the year in the Premier League, and unfortunately that wasn't something that we could keep up going into the second half of the campaign. As we moved into 2025, you can see from our fixture list things were rough to say the least. We did have a mini resurgence in February where we managed to beat Nottingham Forest and Wolves, but it was a largely disappointing second half to the season. Luckily, the fire start to the season allowed us to secure a top half finish by snagging 10th place in the table with 54 points. But there is still plenty more that we can achieve in this save. We didn't win anything in this season, but it was a brilliant return to English football's top flight. Our overall bank balance is very healthy with 130 million stocked away, and the board have given me £61 million to get to work over the summer. So guys, we have been incredibly active going in this summer transfer window. We've actually made ourselves £42.5 million. The big outgoings: James Justin has gone to Al Ahly for £28 million. Ricardo Pereira has gone to Como over in Italy for an initial 12.75, and Harry Suter has gone to Sheffield United for £1.8 million. And as I said, we've been very active in this transfer market, bringing in lots of players, but not really breaking the bank on any of them, because what we are trying to do with this, we are going to buy low, we are going to sell high, we're going to sign youth players and hopefully turn a massive profit on them as we move forward in this save. Baran Garuda is a very good player who's coming in from Mainz. He has 16s for acceleration, agility, flair and dribbling, along with long throws as well. Not a player I've used before, but looks like a very good player. He was the most expensive, coming in for £14 million. We also signed Martin Vitic as well. He is an incredible Czech centre-back. We used him in the Euros recently with Czechia, and he was fantastic in the Euros challenge that we did over on Twitch. We've also pulled in the likes of Ivan Fresneda. God, I really can't talk today. Ivan Fresneda is here. Thiago Moraes is also here from Lille. You can see the types of players that we've signed, guys. Sevi Helseth Naipan, again, another channel legend. Maxim Decker, another young player coming into play at centre-back. But you can see Filip Stankovic as well. Lots of players that we have signed, a couple on frees, couple on loans. But we've not actually broken the bank to sign any big players, but just kind of molded this squad into just a little bit more of a ready to compete kind of vibe. And if we go in quick pick without restriction, the best 11 going into this season, this is how we are set up. Vitic, Fresneda do come into the starting 11. Luke Thomas is making big strides forward in that left back position. We still have Ndidi and Dewsbury Hall, despite the fact that Dewsbury Hall wants to move to a bigger club. You can see why he's gone to Chelsea in real life. And Ndidi is also unhappy as well. He feels it's time for a new challenge. We still have several players knocking around here. Mavadidi is there. Velez is the guy that we've got in on loan from Spurs for the season. But it's going to be an interesting one because we are kind of maybe lacking a touch up front. But competitions-wise, we do have the same 3 trophies on offer for us this year. Southampton do make it back into the Premier League, along with Norwich and Burnley. So that's interesting to see. If we have a look here, Arsenal winning the Premier League last season. And if we go into the season preview, this is how we are predicted to get on this season. We were predicted 17th last year. When I predicted 16th. Burnley actually coming up from the Championship have better odds than us this year. So we need to prove that we are better than we were last season. I want to capture that early season form and take it into the second half of the season and actually continue it through a whole year this time. Let's get to simulating and see how we do in season number 2. In Season 2, we could not replicate last year's quarter-final appearance in the EFL Cup, as we got bounced really early in the 4th round by Barnsley. However, we did have a huge run in the FA Cup. We made it through the first couple of rounds with wins against Exeter and Luton before facing Manchester City in the 5th round. Our young squad were massive underdogs for this one, but goals from Thiago Moraes, Alejo Velez and Steffi Mavadidi saw us secure a 3-2 win at the Etihad and move into the quarter-finals for a 2nd season in a row. This year we took on Norwich and assumed full control of this game with 2 goals inside the first half before Mavadidi scored his 2nd of the match in the 86th minute. Norwich did score 2 goals late on, but we managed to hold on and progress into the semi-finals at Wembley. Here we faced Spurs, who took the lead early through summer signing Mattia Zaccani in the 8th minute. We did have a golden opportunity to get back into the game, but Gruda saw his penalty saved by Vicario. The game did then descend into a madness as both Pedro Porro and Alex Valle both received red cards, but we couldn't find the goal that we needed to take the game into extra time. But this season, I really wanted to see some improvements on last season's 10th place finish in the Prem. Much the same as last year, we had a great first half of the campaign, picking up more wins than I was expecting, but we actually seemed pretty difficult to beat. Steffi Mavadidi was our key man this season, backing 18 goals in the Premier League, along with 8 assists, and the best of our our summer signings was former Chelsea man Faustio Njornin, who actually had a great first season with the club with 12 goals and 10 assists in the Prem, and he is now wanted by Al Ahly. Unlike last season, we were actually much more improved in the second half of the season, which even included wins against the likes of Manchester United and Liverpool. We concluded the seasons with 3 wins on the spin to see us climb up the table and achieved a 6th place finish, which means we will be playing in the Europa League next season. It feels like we're getting close to achieving something with this team, and this summer we've been given an absolute war chest to get us over the line with a whopping £97 million to spend over the summer. Right guys, so there is a lot to digest on this page going into season number 3. Transfers out, we actually made £144 million. It was an absolute loose summer basically on both ins and outs. We sold our goalkeeper to Al Hilal, Mads Hermansen has gone, Patson Daka gone to West Ham for £32 million. Jornin, who actually had a great season with us, we got him in on a free, we sold him for £27 million, that's great profit there. Hamza Chowdhury has gone to Southampton, Wout Fires has gone to Villarreal, Ilianacho has gone to Middlesbrough for £12 million. You can see the money that we are just pulling in, and we actually went out and spent lots of money, £257 million. Lots of interesting transfers coming on here. Julian Duranville coming in from Dortmund, if we take a look at him, needs a lot of work, but has the raw attributes, the high physicals in pace, acceleration, agility, good dribbling, good flair, has a lot of potential, which we are paying a lot of money for here as well. Shaquille Van Persie's also here. Zeno De Bast comes in from Anderlecht to be a new centre-back for us, obviously with Wildfires going over to Villarreal. Aaron Hickey, another player coming in from a fellow Premier League team, natural in both full-back positions, Scottish international as well. We absolutely love to see that. 29 million quid for him. Junior Krupi had already moved from Lorient in this save. He was at Manchester United. He wasn't playing. He's now going to be a Leicester City player. 27.5 million pounds for him. Philip Jorgensen is our new goalkeeper to replace Mads Hermansen. He is a very good young goalkeeper in this year's game. Good aerial reach, good reflexes, good positioning on him as well, and really nice physicals for a goalkeeper. I think that's a massive upgrade. Emmanuel Omega comes in from Strasbourg. If you've not used this guy at centre forward yet this year, do it. He is brilliant. Please do go and pick him up. He's 6'5", good physicals on him as well, both footed, absolute handful. US men's national team man Yunus Musa comes in from AC Milan for just £8.25 million. That is an absolute steal of someone of that kind of caliber. What we are going to do though this season, guys, we're going to pin Omega and Junior Krupi into their positions. Now you guys ask me all the time how you do this when I go on holiday. You make sure that this second box here is ticked. The first one is to use the current match tactics. The second one, use the current team selection when possible. That means that these two guys will play as many minutes as they are fit to play. So if we quick pick without restriction the unpicked positions, this is how we are filling up the team. We still have Dewsbury Hall. He has signed a new deal. Ndidi is transfer listed, though we are trying to shift him on. Hickey, Vitic, Debast, Thomas, Ndidi, Dewsbury Hall, Musa, Krupi, Mabadidi, and Omega. This is a powerful front seven, guys. I really like it. Sorry to toot my own horn in terms of the recruitments. We've done really well here. If we go into the competitions tab, obviously we did finish in 6th last season, so we are going to be in the Europa League this year along with the other 3 competitions. The board are expecting a top half finish in the Prem. If we have a look at the season preview, with all the money that we spent, we've managed to reduce our odds on winning the title down to 300 to 1. So we've not necessarily done the best work here in terms of what the bookies think, but I actually think this squad is fantastic. We've done really well here. So let's get to simulating season number 3 and see if we can do better than finishing in the top 6. Last season we were good in the FA Cup and poor in the EFL Cup. This season, that switched over. We faced Spurs at home in our FA Cup 3rd round tie, and despite dominating the game, our goalkeeper dropped a stinker, conceding 4 of the 5 shots on target in this match. We've all been there, right? It's not just me that this has happened to. But this season we really excelled in the EFL Cup as we knocked out Nottingham Forest, Sheffield Wednesday and Liverpool, scoring over 5 goals in every single one of those games. That set up a 2-legged semi-final against Everton, and we beat the King Power for the first leg. We really weren't at our best for this game, but still managed to score a goal in each half to take a decent lead into the second leg. Everton really turned up in that second leg and opened the scoring inside the first 5 minutes to reduce our aggregate lead. We then added 2 goals just before half time to restore a commanding lead on the tie, before the Scousers added 2 goals of their own in the second half. However, we were able to hold on to that 4-3 aggregate lead and make our first cup final of the save. And our opposition for that final would be Arsenal, with the game taking place at Wembley. The Gunners took the lead early with a nice solo goal from Tomiyasu, but Mavididi was on hand to pull us level just 4 minutes later. However, sadly for us, Arsenal's key players then took over the game by the scruff of the neck as Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard both scored before half-time to give Arsenal a 3-1 lead. And we couldn't find our groove in this game, and unfortunately that first trophy did go to Arsenal, but that wouldn't be the last time that we were competing for a trophy this season. As I mentioned in the intro, we returned to continental competition this year as we entered the Europa League in the league phase. It was almost a flawless start to the campaign as we only dropped points away to Celtic whilst winning all of our other games to finish second in the table with 21 points and move automatically into the round of 16. First up was German opposition in the face of Hoffenheim, and we had to travel to Germany for the first game. Imega and Mavididi scored a goal apiece in the opening 15 minutes to put us in a great spot, but we allowed the German side back into the game in the second half as Maximilian Bayer scored twice to see the game end all square. But back at the King Power, we again scored twice early, but allowed Bayer only on the score sheet once this time to get a 4-3 aggregate victory. So we marched into the quarterfinals where we would take on Greek champions Olympiacos, and we were on the road again for the first leg. This tie proved to be much more cut and dry than the previous round as we won 3-1 in Greece with the first leg, with Junior Krupi, Mavididi and Imega all getting on the score sheet. The second leg was just as comprehensive as we ran out 3-0 winners at home to move into the Europa League semis. It was French opposition in the semi-finals as we would take on 7-time French champions Lyon. We really struggled to get going in the first leg in France as Lyon raced out to a 2-0 lead in the game, with me thinking our journey was coming to an end. But the lads showed great character and managed to pull us back within 1 goal to see the first leg ending in a 3-2 Lyon win. And then back at the King Power, things were much more in our favour. We scored a goal in each half through Duranville and Imega to secure another 4-3 aggregate win and a pathway into the Europa League final. It was more German opposition in the final as we would face Stuttgart, and this was the easiest tie of the lot as we absolutely battered the Bundesliga side, winning 4-0 on the night to lift the Europa League trophy. That result meant that we will be playing in the Champions League next season, and that is just as well because our results in the Premier League kind of suffered because of progressing in these cup competitions. We had a slow start to the campaign with 3 draws in a row before thumping Everton to round off August. But following that, results were patchy to say the least, with our young team struggling to find real consistency in the Premier League. And when you look at our squad comparison, we are the youngest squad in the Premier League with an average age of under 24 within our whole squad. After being pinned into the striker position, Emmanuel Imega was the club's top goal scorer with 28 goals in all competitions, but he did only score 13 times in 32 Premier League appearances. And our most expensive summer signing, Julian Duranville, had a great debut season with the club from the wing as he provided 32 goal contributions in all competitions. So I'd say that's money well spent. The second half of the season was better, but not spectacular. We seemed harder to beat with several draws in there, but this isn't the form of a team that should be challenging for the title. I'm putting this dip down to multiple cut runs, but we finished down in 9th in the Premier League table with 52 points and a 0 goal difference. But we did win the Europa League this season, so I'm seeing that as a massive win, even with the Premier League form. Our excessive spending and instalments is catching up on us as we only have a transfer budget of 60 million to make this club Champions League ready for next year. So, transfer window going into season number 4, we had to balance the books just a little bit, and you can see here we've kind of made a decent amount of money in this particular window. You can see Velez is one of the players that we have gone on and sold. We had him on loan. We've turned that loan into a full-time signing. He has now gone over to Wolves for £34.5 million. We also sold Thiago Moraes. Yes, we sold a Portuguese player to Wolves. Imagine my surprise. He has gone over as well. £12.75 million for him. And Wilfred Ndidi has now finally left the club. He's gone to Tigres over in Mexico as he said he wanted a new challenge, and they were the only team that would pay for him. £12.75 million on him. In terms of some of the players in, we've kind of tried to be careful with some of the players that we were buying. Malo Gusto was transfer listed by Chelsea for £26 million. Shock he wasn't playing there. He's come in, really nice physicals, and I know, having done a Chelsea save recently on Twitch, that he can be a very good player in that right back spot. We picked up Charlie Greening, a new gen from Southampton. Looks like he has a lot of good potential, but I don't think he's first team ready just yet. We had to spend pretty big on him, £25 million to pry him away from Southampton. And another new gen here, Steve Heffernan, coming in from Chelsea. Probably a little bit more first team ready. Good first touch, good technique as well to play in this DM spot. Good work on the tackling and stuff like that. Nice natural fitness, good determination, good bravery. Also already an Ireland international, aged 18. He is probably definitely a little bit more first team ready. Again, that Wonder Kid finder filter coming in clutch here. I'll leave a link to that down in the description as well. And the final one is this guy, Christopher Magana. Yeah, sure. Really nice physicals on this guy. 16s all over the place. Nice 15 as well on pace. Good determination, good flair. 16 finishing. Nice holy trinity on this guy as well. Joachim Pearson is another one to come in as a backup goalkeeper for us. He cost £1.9 million. And then Joel Kwanzaa on a free transfer. Always gets released by Liverpool in these saves. 6'6", good youth player coming in, obviously English as well, so that helps with the coefficient. If we have a look at our team, we are not going to be pinning anybody in position this season, so this is the lineup going into the campaign. Jurgensen, Gusto, Debast, Vitic, Hickey, Musa, Dewsbury Hall, Duranville, Krupi, Mavadidi, and Emmanuel Emega. The team is pretty well balanced, no massive superstars. I like Debast and Vitic as the best two players, keeping us defensively strong. We had a 0 goal difference last season. I really think this front four is capable of putting us in the +30, +40 range, in my opinion. Competitions wise, now I have to say this, I messed up the saves going into this season, so we've already started the season a little bit. As you can see, we've already won the European/South American Club Challenge as Europa League winners. We took on Defensa from Argentina. We beat them 4-2 in that one. Relatively comprehensive, but the big one, UEFA Super Cup. As Europa League winners, we took on Real Madrid, and Emega scored a hat-trick in this one, Bellingham getting a penalty for Madrid, but an absolutely breathtaking game sees us win the UEFA Super Cup, and we've actually started all right in the Premier League as well. We're inside the top 4, but we're going to simulate this season once we've had a look at how well we should be doing. We've massively improved, up to 100-1 now to win the title. Thomas Tuchel is now the Aston Villa manager. Unai Emery is now the Man City manager. FM be wilding out sometimes. Let's get season 4 done and see how we get on as we return to the Champions League. And sadly, we couldn't carry that early season trophy winning form into the domestic cup competitions in season number 4. We crashed out of the EFL Cup on penalties to Brighton in the 4th round, and in the FA Cup we had a very lucky draw facing lower league opposition all the way to the semi-finals, where we faced Aston Villa at Wembley. Villa were probably the better side here and twice took the lead, but yet again with this group they showed some exceptional character to pull level on both occasions and send the game into extra time. But annoyingly, that was a step too far for us this season, as Villa added 2 more goals in the extra 30 minutes to move into the final and see our cup run come to an end. This season I really wanted to see us bounce back after last year's 9th place finish in the Prem, and we had a great opening few months of the season, only dropping 4 points in our opening 10 games. After not hitting the heights in the Premier League last season, Emmanuel Emega really did show what he's made of in this campaign, as he netted 24 times in the Prem as part of his 37 goal season. It was such a good goal return that he even shared the golden boot with a certain Erling Haaland. We carried our impressive early season form into 2028, where we actually went unbeaten for 10 straight games as we moved into early March. As a team, we definitely bounced back this season and secured a 2nd place finish in the Premier League, and even achieved a massive goal difference of +55 to really show that we are a team to be reckoned with. But that does mean we secured Champions League football again for our 5th and final season. And in this season's Champions League campaign, we had a great opening part to the league phase, but we did then suffer back-to-back losses to close it out as we lost to PSG and Bayer Leverkusen. However, those results are still good enough to see us sneak into the top 8 in the table and automatically make that round of 16. We were drawn here against a familiar foe as it was an all-Premier League tie as we were drawn against Arsenal. Emil Smith-Rowe opened the scoring in this one inside just 2 minutes, and then just before half-time, Dewsbury Hall saw his penalty saved by Ramsdale to see Arsenal go into half-time in the lead. Brian Gruder then put on his shooting boots and scored twice inside 60 seconds in the second half to give us the lead before Smith-Rowe added his second of the first leg to see the game at the Emirates end in a 2-2 draw. Then back at the King Power, Junior Krupi opened the scoring in 22 minutes to give us the lead in the tie. But in the second half, Arsenal added goals from Bukayo Saka and Diogo Jota to see the Gunners take the lead as I thought our run was over. However, Emmanuel Omega had other ideas, as not only did he pull us level in the 89th minute, but he also scored the goal in extra time to see us scoop a 5-4 aggregate win and see us progress to the quarterfinals. And this would be a huge game for the club as we would face Barcelona at the Nou Camp in the first leg. I thought we were going to hit them with a little bit of a smash and grab in this one as Malo Gusto gave us the lead in the 3rd minute, but it might have been a case of scoring just a little bit too early. Barca did come flying back into this game through Ferran Torres, who scored a goal either side of half-time before Luka Susic made it 3-1 to Barca on the day. It seemed like we peaked in the first few minutes of the first leg as back in the King Power, Barca scored twice through Gavi and Alejandro Balde to effectively put the tie beyond doubt. We did score a consolation goal in the 93rd minute, but the golfing class was clear for all to see with that 5-2 loss on aggregate. However, we did add 2 more trophies to the trophy cabinet this season, and then we really fought it out at the top of the Premier League, which was our main goal for this save. We have another £58 million to spend in our final summer transfer window to see if we can get over the line in our 5th and final season. It's no surprise going into season number 5 that we have been busy in this transfer market yet again. We've actually turned a profit in this window. Dewsbury Hall has finally left the club. He has departed to Juventus for £53 million. Martin Vitek has also left the club. He is now a Real Madrid player. If you can take a look, we bought him for 12.25 million, sold him for 49 3 seasons later. He is a good player, but £49 million is not to be sniffed at. Marcel has also gone as well. He has gone to Southampton for £31 million. And Naipan didn't really pan out in this save, so he has gone over to Nottingham Forest for £15.5 million. On some of the incoming players, Zabiani has come in from Bournemouth for £63 million to be our new centre-back. Obviously, that Vitek replacement. He is a very good player in this year's game. Noah Darvic comes in from Barcelona, £56 million for him. I've used him recently in that Chelsea save. He was fantastic, and I'm hoping, considering he can play 3 key positions for us as a natural, he is going to have a big season for us. And Amaro Nalo is the last player coming in from Liverpool, giving us a little bit of cover there. Young centre-back actually coming through Liverpool. I actually quite like them attribute-wise. Good passing and marking, good technique as well. Maybe a little bit more suited to being a DM, but a good option for us nonetheless, especially at 6'4". If we have a look at the team, though, we are looking pretty solid, and that is how we are going to line up this season. This is my favourite front 4 that I have seen. Darvic, Krupi, Duranville and Omega just screams goals to me. And Heffernan, the guy who we did sign from Chelsea last season, is going to come in to play in our centre midfield spot alongside Musa. I like this team a lot. It's young. It is very young. If we go into our squad planner and then go into our report and then into the comparison, you can see 23.81. We are the youngest team in the league still. United is the highest. The average is just under 27. So we are a very young team going into this season, but I think they are capable of many good things. Back in the Champions League again this season, and the board want another top half finish in the Premier League. We've had 4 different winners of the Prem since this save's been going. Arsenal, Liverpool, then Spurs, and then last season it was Manchester City. We are now 50-1 to pull off an upset. Can it be done? Who knows? Kieran McKenna is now the Palace manager. Graham Potter is now at Newcastle. Let's simulate this 5th and final season to see if we can get another Premier League title for Leicester.
Yeah, man.
And speaking of that Premier League title, if you are still watching this video, please let me know that you are still here by commenting the word Ranieri down below. He is the king of the King Power in my mind for bringing them that Premier League title. Comment Ranieri down below and just let me know that you are still here, because I really do appreciate the fact that you are here this far into the video. Anyway, let's get into the Season 5 review. We're going to kick off the Season 5 review by talking about our Premier League performance, as we were handed a little bit of a baptism of fire, losing our first game of the season 5-1 at Anfield. After that defeat, we struggled to settle into a bit of a rhythm in the opening couple of months of the season. However, things did finally settle down after our summer signings had bedded in, and we kicked off October with a 4-1 win against Manchester City, which actually sparked a 2-month unbeaten run. We weren't having things our own way during that time though, as we did crash out of the EFL Cup, losing to Everton on penalties. Emmanuel Omega continued to dominate the goal scoring charts for us in his third season in a row, this time scoring 21 goals in the Premier League and 35 in total in all competitions. He is definitely a guy that exceeds his attributes in every single save. And the best of our summer signings was former Barcelona man Noah Darvic, who caught fire this season and provided us with 42 goal contributions in 54 appearances in all competitions. After the turn of the year, we really stepped through the gears and dominated in the Premier League, picking up 40 from the 54 points available in the back half of the season. However, even with form like that, we still couldn't clinch a Premier League title, as Liverpool pipped us to it by 5 points. And as frustrating as that was, we also had a disappointing performance in the FA Cup, making our way past lower league opposition in the first 3 fixtures before losing to Burnley at Turf Moor. However, for me, the shining light this season was our performance in the Champions League. We gave a great account of ourselves in the league phase, winning 6 of our 8 games, including wins against the likes of Arsenal and PSG. Those wins saw us climb up to 4th in the league phase table, bagging safe passage through to that round of 16. Here we were drawn against AC Milan, with a trip to the San Siro on the cards for the first leg. The LeBron James of soccer, Christian Pulisic, opened the scoring for Milan, but Junior Krupi struck just 5 minutes later to see us return to England for the second leg all square. And it was that man Krupi on the score sheet again in that second leg, as he scored in the 19th minute, and our lead was doubled on the half-hour mark as Noah Darvic fired home from the penalty spot. Milan did score a late consolation goal, but we were able to hold on to progress to the quarter-final stage. It was familiar opposition in the quarters, as we were drawn alongside Manchester City, and this time the first leg was at home. We took the lead in the first half, but Oscar Bob was able to pull City level with 20 minutes of the game remaining. And this is where our big game players stepped up, as we were able to score 2 more goals in the game, with Omega and Darvic getting on the score sheet to give us a really good chance in the second leg. Goals were flying in for both sides in this second game, but the game ended in a 3-3 draw, meaning that we moved into the semi-finals for the first time in the save. I also have to give a shout out to the Man City new gen striker who actually scored a hat-trick in the second leg, Christian Rojas, who they actually picked up on a free transfer. So we moved into the semi-finals, where we were drawn alongside Italian giants Juventus. We had to travel to Turin for the first game, where we completely capitulated on the night, with Juve rattling home 5 goals in a 5-1 win to give us a real uphill task in this second leg. And despite scoring 2 early goals in that second leg, Juventus came roaring back into the game at the King Power to see the game in a 2-2 draw on the night, to see Juve move forward with a 7-3 aggregate win. Meaning we ended Season 5 empty-handed, but I think we really transformed Leicester into a Premier League powerhouse with a squad bursting with talent. And this is where you can take over the save. I post all of the save files over on my Patreon. Links to that will be down in the description and in the pinned comment at the top of the video. Hopefully you guys can carry on this journey with Leicester City, and if you do, let me know how you get on. If you want to see some more rebuild content, guys, check out this playlist. It's all the rebuilds that we've done on this year's game.